Are you ready to push
I'm ready.
go?
We're recording.
Okay, we are starting and recording. So welcome, everybody. First thing we want to do is remind you to sign in. And if it's your first time, there's another little sheet over there where you can put your contact information so we can get you on the list. And then next time you show up, all you have to do is initial instead of writing all that stuff out again. So tonight we're gonna do full introductions again, because we have somebody special, new, actually two new people, brand new. So why don't we start? We'll have Ella go last.
Okay.
So maybe I'll start and then we'll go to Kristen. I'm Judy Anderson. I'm a resident in the WUI. And I am very concerned about fires and people knowing that they can do things to prepare for wildfires so that they can reduce their risk losing their home.
And Judy is the co-chair of our wonderful council.
Okay, that's why I'm talking.
I'm Krista Mortensen. I am the Community Preparedness and Fire Prevention Specialist for the DNRC Southwestern Land Office, which covers Ravalli County. So
Ken Brewer, and I come on council representing Florence Fire, and then I've been kind of helping out with a few things on Fire on the Rip, so. And that's it. Laura?
I'm Laura Jackson, and I'm a longtime resident of the Valley. And I always have to drag in my great grandparents who did homestead here. I did not grow up here. And I'm also on the board of the Bitterroot Climate Action Group. Two hats.
I usually sit back there. I don't have to.
Sorry.
I'm Frank Belfry. I'm a private landowner. But not big land, just a few acres. And I'm also on the board of the Bitterroot Climate Action Group. And I've been a firefighter in my life, and I've seen up front how fires are diffused and when private fire. So, and I see from my profession afterward how trauma affects people big time. So I'm really aware of all that. That's my.
I'm Nicole Henningfeld. I was here last fall, but I took the night job, but now I'm back. I have a nonprofit, and the goal is to work with homeowners and Ravalli Electric, Missoula Electric, and Northwestern Energy, and just talk to folks about how to keep their homes clear and the power lines right outside their back door for youth education, so that we don't burn down.
I'm Christina Ragsdale. My husband and I have a ranch here outside of Victor, and we raise leaves, but we also run an event center for weddings and other events. And in my former life, I did a lot of public communications related to air quality and wildfire danger and.
Jeff Robert, Deputy Emergency Manager. Eric Hoover, Emergency Manager.
Kendall Seiler, Project Coordinator for Pheasants Forever.
Mike Kent, 34 plus years emergency services volunteer, and have retired, did full-time 911 dispatch a few years ago. Now I'm semi-retired, but work with the real estate industry here in the Valley. President of local boards this year. Also sit on the Valley Collaborative, a couple other boards here in the county, and doing everything I can to help promote safety for newcomers coming in and education for some of them have been here for a while, and still believe that spring is an annual fence post burning contest.
I'm Tim Hancock with the Bitterroot RCD, a forester for them. Sitting in for Josh Smith tonight. He broke the band account, but always a pleasure to meet you guys.
I'm Al Babel. I live in Corvallis. I farm there. I'm a representative to the Right to Farm and Ranch Board. I'm on the Open Lands Board, on the board of Farm Bureau, and my spare time, my farm.
That young, I'm the deputy fire staff officer on the Bear Patrol.
Amanda Albrecht, new prevention technician, Forest Service.
Russ Dell, the fire prevention officer for the.
Ford Gary, fire management specialist, Garden Hill.
I'm
Right.
ready to go. I just came in from a call and I met Ella the other day when I picked up the stuff at the DNR meeting.
Okay, and now Ella.
Yeah, I'm Ella Langer, I'm the new Fire Adaptive Communities Coordinator with the DNRC for Valley County. New co-chair of the super cool council, that I'm really excited to get to know. I'm from Minnesota originally, and I kind of have an educational background in forestry and grassland ecology. And I've been doing field work for the past 5 years, doing restoration and fuels and trails and all sorts of fun stuff. And I'm just really excited to dive into this new chapter. Lived in Missoula for about a year now.
Awesome.
I think Chris on the table and do that.
Oh, my, yeah, I remember that.
I think Kristen's a little excited. Well, we'll settle her down here and we'll make her talk about the financial report. She probably won't be that excited.
Okay, so our tally is. Well, our available balance is going down right now with kind of some of the last bit of advertising that I'm still waiting for bills for. We will have $130, which is great because this money has to be spent out by the end of June. So this is actually a really good place to sit, and the outreach team will probably utilize this last bit to help with advertising for the brown bag seminar or printing of maps or something to go in support of the brown bag seminar. So this will be spent out, but yeah, so that's where we stand financially with funds that the council has. I do want to just say that the Forest Service does have funds available for helping with various projects as well. And I still do have some accounts that I can pull from as well. So we're not brimming with money, but there are some available funds both through the Bitterroot and the DNRC that we can tap into to help get us through until hopefully, $6 million comes our way, or $1 million of that, but that's the skinny on money.
Any questions? All right.
When is does our fiscal year restart then in July or?
Yes, the state fiscal
The
year,
state
the
does.
federal has a different fiscal
Yeah,
year.
okay.
So, but the state does, and what?
So even without grant applications, there will be more funds sort of available through the state in July, maybe?
Yes, not to this amount, because this was a grant specifically for like helping the council. Now, Ella is funded out of a grant that does have some operational funds. And so that might be something that that we can take some of that funding and put to the council as well. And so that's an option. We have to sit down and look at exactly what funds are just for her, because she's part of actually a bigger grant where we funded multiple Ellas. I have a new FAC up in Missoula as well, and so we've just got to sift through and look at those funds, but that's another option as well, and that's probably the best option for having funds dedicated that the council can help decide. So we just have to sit down and figure that out. Okay. All right, so I will take this to so funding team report. One thing is that I kind of put Byron on here, but it seems that Byron has left us.
Why do you need to come tonight? He was a real short answer, no.
No. So Byron's last day was last Friday. And I don't think he wanted a big hullabaloo, which is why maybe information wasn't so prevalent about the exact date of his retirement. So yeah, so Byron is probably won't be around, won't be at the meetings, at least for a while until he starts getting bored of honeydews. But, yeah, so, Josh Smith is gonna be point person on our CWDG application. That's that Community Wildfire Defense Grant application that we are partnering with the Bitterroot RC&D on. That application, we submitted it to the DNRC. They accepted it as one of the applications that they want to help us with and push it through to a final application to be submitted. That's excellent because it means they're gonna help us, and help means they go through our application with a fine tooth comb. And they know, they have been through a year and a half now of this, and they have seen what has been funded and what hasn't, and so, but the next iteration is due on June 15th, and that will be kind of our final application. Then they'll go through it and probably come back to us with some corrections or suggestions. And then it will be ready to submit as soon as the official CWDG round is open. So that, they're not even accepting applications for the next round of CWDG yet, but we are just gonna make sure we're ready to apply as soon as it is. And so this is all fairly new. And so I did want to kind of pitch this out to any on the outreach team or anybody who's interested even in being a part of this. Potentially having a meeting on May 17th, which is the Friday after our next outreach team meeting. If any of you can make that, and we can set the day is open for Josh. And we can maybe pitch some times to him, but if anybody is open that wants to be a part of that, let me know, maybe right after this meeting, and we'll see if we can set up a meeting, kind of like a combined outreach funding team meeting that we did before. So
Have you got time?
no, and I would say if there's a time that works for you guys, like usually early to mid-afternoon might work, for me, because I have some core Friday morning meetings that I can miss, but would prefer not to. So early afternoon, if that works for you guys, but if it doesn't, whatever works.
So our next outreach meeting is
The
on the
16th.
16th at
Yeah.
9.
Yeah, so this would be separate from that. But this would be sitting down with Josh and talking about what we can help with. And that would probably be specific descriptions, project descriptions of the projects that we have included in there. Also more detailed financial estimates. So kind of breaking that out and divvying up those tasks.
Basically fleshing out the summary that was
Exactly.
already provided
Yes.
in the one that went through.
Yeah,
Right.
but this will require a lot more detail. So yeah, it's major fleshing out.
So
So,
we can split up the pieces.
yes, yeah.
We don't have to do the fleshing out at that meeting.
No, it's really just divvying it out so that you're working on this project, you're working on this and yeah. So talk to me afterwards maybe, or send me available times if you're interested, just email that.
I'll try and make it, I can't guarantee.
That's okay, we can just do that, but that's great news too, we're moving forward, but we also want to make sure we're a partner with it and helping Josh and not having him do all the work, so.
I messed up in the beginning and forgot to ask if we had anybody on Zoom land.
No, yeah, there is nobody on
Okay.
Zoom. Unless they joined, and I lost my Zoom picture and it won't come back. So if somebody does join, if anybody's on Zoom, holler because I'm not getting a picture of Zoom. Nope. Oh, okay. Yeah, so that is where we are at with the funding team, and if you see Byron, wish him well. But I don't think we're gonna see him, because it sounds like he's gonna be traveling quite a bit too.
Yeah, Byron, he doesn't want any kind of going away party, but I'm not sure we'll keep you guys posted because Paul from the conservation district is gonna do something. He's
Oh, good.
putting it together. I'm not sure when that will be, but within the next 10 days, I think, we'll let you know.
Yeah, definitely let us know, because Byron's been a big part of this from the very beginning. He was an instrumental part of the WUI task force, which the council really took that place of the WUI task force, and Byron was the point person on the initial CWPP and the 2009 CWPP. So he's done a lot, so it would be nice to be able to.
Let's not let him off that easy.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, good.
Mercy.
So any questions on the funding and I guess our next steps?
Congratulations on getting it through the first.
Yeah,
step.
and so, and Ella and I were able to see a little bit about what goes on with and there's a lot of funding, or a lot of grant submissions that come through. And so it is cool that we were selected, because there's a lot to choose from and not everybody got selected, so. All right, this is. Hang on. Okay, it's me again, I'm sorry. Pretty soon it's just gonna be Ella.
She says with a great big smile.
Okay, no, I do love this, actually, I'm gonna have a hard time, no, I won't, I'll be sitting in the back row, so you guys gotta make room for me. But I'll still be here.
Matt always wants to be in the back row.
I
You're gonna have
know.
to fight
Yeah,
him
I'm
for
gonna
the
make you sit
chair.
up here. Hang on, I got ahead of myself. Our reduced smoke debris burning workshop had 60+ attendees. It was awesome, went really well. And thanks to Victor for hosting that. Raylene, you did awesome. And have you guys has anybody heard anything from community members or neighbors that went? Did they like it? Did they feel it was
Yeah,
beneficial?
my neighbors went,
Mhm.
and they actually came over to say how much they appreciated it. And this is before, they also signed up for
My
For a
my
home-
mean assessment,
Yeah.
yes, I've heard I was mean.
for a home wildfire assessment, but before that, they came over and said how much they learned, you know? And how much they appreciated it, and they've gone to 2 or 3 of our other neighbors. Talking to them,
Hmm.
so they really appreciated it a lot, and I haven't heard from anybody else, but that was pretty positive feedback.
No, that's really good. We got about 3 home assessments, 4, actually, one was in Helmville, so, actually. But out of that workshop, so that is excellent as well.
I heard a lot of comments on the day of during the little break sessions that we had. People were, nobody left early except the lady that had to get her dog to the dog trainer.
Yep.
That was already scheduled.
And
Yeah.
The only critique I had, and it's not really even a critique, but it was something that I realized afterwards, as I was sort of trying to translate. I mean, he's a wonderful speaker and he was very clear and the materials were good. For me and for, I think, maybe, I don't know who else of the people who were there, I'm not doing post-logging piles. I'm doing, pine
Landowner.
needles here and a little debris there. And so it's a slightly different structure that I'm mean, I actually piled branches and made sure there was air last week so that it would be a little less smoky, but it's, it's also, you just do it when you can, so it's often wet yesterday. So I don't know if he could, cover
Yeah.
that area, because I think a lot of the people there were more people who have a few acres and yard rather than after a major thinning project in piles.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't geared as much to the homeowner as we
Yeah,
kind of were thinking it would
I
be.
guess, I don't know, I mean,
Okay.
some homeowners, may have, larger projects than I've ever had, but when I did do the
Yeah.
RD&D project, the person who did the project piled and burned. So that was not my responsibility, so just, I mean, that was.
That's a good comment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good comment. He had a lot of examples of his own piles on his place. But then the ones that he talked a lot about were the big the activity fuel
Right.
piles. So that is a good, that's a good thing to bring up to Peter.
Yeah,
And we have a thank you card over there by the sign in. If anybody would like to say thank you to him, we're gonna send that to him in the mail. And were you able to find out if we're allowed to give him an honorarium?
oh.
You were
I-
checking into that.
I did, and I did not get a response, so I just need to follow up
Okay.
and ask. Thank you for the reminder. I just forgot to follow up. 'Cause I haven't heard. Landscaping workshop, Judy, Ella, and I did a pretty quick landscape oriented or landscape strategy oriented HIZ presentation at KNS Greenhouse on the 20th, Saturday, the 20th. There were about 8 attendees. But we got 4 assessment signups out of that, so half of them signed up for an assessment, so that's actually really good, because we don't even get that sometimes for a 6-hour event, so that was neat, and they were
It
really
was definitely
engaged.
worth it.
Yeah, it was, and it was an engaged group that asked a lot of questions, so that's neat, and we talked about the possibility of doing more of those with different nurseries and throughout the season even, at least the planning season, and trying to catch people, because there was a lot of interest, so.
And the owner of KNS is going to be responsible for the flower section at the fairgrounds, and she wants us to
Yeah.
do a similar workshop there during the fair. And it's not clear whether she wants us to do that every day of the fair or just one time. I guess it depends on what else she's got planned.
Yeah,
So there will be more opportunities to get the word out, because the fair is very well attended.
mhm.
Do you have any sort of sense of how the 8 had learned about it, or how we can promote it more in a future situation like that and get more people?
No, we actually didn't ask them.
The only advertising we really did was I made up a little half sheet flyer at the register, and as customers were coming through buying things, they would see it and pick it up and take it home and decide if they were gonna come back. So they had a lot of them. I think 50 of those went out. People took them without them being offered. But maybe some of them forgot or had something come up, so.
Yeah, it's just, it would be,
Oh,
since
yeah.
you got a good return on assessments out of it, it seems like something we could
Yeah,
promote more.
oh, definitely. I think the fact is we put so much energy towards the debris burning workshop. There wasn't energy or funds for that or time really to develop, because you do have to develop that advertising. And so we just didn't, and it was, but it wasn't our thing, right? It was more sponsored by KNS, and so it's also, you don't want to take over the project necessarily, but I do think
And as it turns out, they had so much new nursery stock in
We wouldn't
each
have
of the
room.
greenhouses. We didn't have the space we thought we were going to have, and so we were crowded in this little aisle. And there were customers shopping, going through. So if we'd had a big
It wouldn't have
group,
worked.
I don't know that
Yeah.
it would have worked because it was too cold to be outside.
Yeah, I think it was a good trial run. And so now we're like, yeah, let's develop this into something that we do more, push more. But I do feel like if we had advertised it more, we probably would have gotten more, and that was just capacity. We didn't have that, and I don't think they did.
Right.
To push it too, so, but it's a do again, yeah.
When the next one is done for the landscaping workshop, could it be, or would it be possible to put together, like a board with maybe 8 or 10 different fire resistant plants to be planted next to your home? Or, within the burn zone? Is that something that we could come up with?
Like a board.
Well, that could actually put out a nursery, so when planning your landscaping, consider these plants that are fire resistant.
Yes and no, because the whole, what I speak to when I do that spiel is really not, these are the species you want, right? Because, almost, there are many species that would work. It's really, what is the strategy you need to be using in the 0 to 5 range? What is the strategy in the 5 to 30 range? So I want them more thinking about spacing and plant type and plant chemistry, right? Growth patterns. So thinking that way is more important than choose this specific species versus this.
So it
Right,
seems to me
and-
that also, since most of us, or many of us live out in the country, deer resistant plants.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
just a joke, man. I don't
Yeah.
really do this.
Yeah,
Okay.
but see, that's where I said, that's where you
Yeah.
talk to the nursery
Yeah, but.
and get the species, but we also have our publication.
Yeah.
Like the publication gives the species that they can get a hold of and what are good ground covers and that, so. I want them to know why and what kind of plant they want to choose. If they need to plant something in the 0 to 5.
And we
Um,
can't really boss people around very much. We can give them options. We can say, you can have any plants you want. What matters the most if you want to reduce your wildfire risk is which plants go where.
Yeah,
And that the most important part is that first 5 feet, and we recommend low ground covers, things with lots of water, things that don't dry out easily.
Or things that the
Yeah.
deer eat all the way to the ground. No, that's a really successful strategy. How do you do? Yeah, we have those in our house.
Lips and.
yeah, yeah. But no, and so I mean, we could definitely do a board, but I think,
It's gonna depend
more
on your
the
audience.
strategy, yeah.
If we're at a nursery, they're coming in to buy plants. And they're open to listening to us about what options might be better options than they were first considering. But they're still gonna buy what they're gonna buy, and that's okay, but at least they've heard from us about what the best options for reducing your risk. So it's more of an HIZ talk than it is a plants talk. But I had a binder with photos of
Yeah, that was me.
things, designs that could work if people say, oh, I hate rock, I don't want rock mulch. Well, there's some pretty cool pictures of landscapes that had some rock in it that were doable.
Yeah.
And so people got some ideas there too.
Well, we have the brochure, which does
Right.
specify plants.
Yeah, it does,
Right.
it has the look.
You start thinking maybe a larger
Well,
poster of the
Yeah, if the
brochure.
nursery person, you can't put 60 plants on a board, it'd be.
Right.
That wall,
Yeah,
but, I didn't know if there would be a few specifics that the nursery would try to coordinate with the landowner, homeowner, and say, this would be great, but this might not be your best for 0 to 5, and this plaque or board or whatever. Just a tutorial to give them an idea.
Yeah, we could I mean, that would be an idea too, is involve them, the nursery, a little more in the presentation and have them be like, okay, here's some examples. Great ones, if you have to have vegetation in your 0 to 5, here's some specific examples.
'Cause
Yeah.
even some of the nursery workers don't know what should be.
Right,
certified.
right, yeah, yes, that's a
It
very good
could
point.
be as simple as a fire on the roof sticker on when you go there, because if it said like native Montana or zero.
Yeah.
Because as a landscape designer, I would send people in and if they wanted native, you say, okay, go over here. So if we had 10 plants, it would just make it simple for people to kind of start wrapping with it. It does come back to the design, but when you have people in the nursery industry, they'll get used to, there's 10, 20 plants that people come in asking for like this going by their house. They're gonna see it and there's just a little sticker.
Yeah,
That's a good idea. We could talk to them
well,
about,
I would do a color sticker.
Plus it puts our
Like
name out there
where-
that we get on the.
Yeah.
side. And so
Yeah.
when people start seeing
Yeah.
Yeah.
fire in the roof
Because,
over and over, and over
Yeah.
and over.
and
That's
the
not
other
a bad
thing
idea.
the other
Sounds like
point
a
we
genius
made
project.
to everybody was there's no such thing as a fire resistant plant if the fire is right on top of you.
All plants
Everything
burn.
is gonna burn. It's not about, I'm not there to buy plants that are gonna come back to life after a big burn. I'm
There's no
pretty,
air resistant either. They're
Yeah.
just, I mean, there's stuff that are.
Right.
they're Trying to, like, don't eat my daylilies, go eat this over here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, but when people are at the nursery, you can kind of direct them. I mean, I worked in the nurseries for 10 years. And
Yeah.
They want somebody to direct them
right,
yeah,
and just don't go to like Home Depot.
yeah. No, that's, yeah, and that's definitely an idea. We have to flesh it out a little bit, because also, we don't want vegetation in the 0 to 5.
well,
Ultimately, like, that's our promotion, but if they're choosing it, this is what we'd recommend, but we also don't wanna, like, promote vegetation in the 0 to 5.
I don't
Does
know
that
if
make
I
sense?
agree with that, because people who are gardeners that go there to buy plants are not gonna agree with that.
Right,
And it's just, even landscapers aren't going to agree with that. So
Yeah.
we have to give them something that is like,
Yeah, my wife's not gonna agree, so.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's something that
if
is
you're
still
gonna plant
doable.
there, right, so, yeah, I think we could do colored stickers. So the color, one color is anywhere within the 0 to 100 feet. Or only 5 to 100 feet, or only 60 to 100 feet, something like that, so, yeah, that's it.
And the greenhouse does have our brochures, and they're gonna be continuing to, we're gonna probably do reprints because people are going to get used to seeing that, and when they start asking questions, the nursery workers are gonna say, well, here's an idea, here's the HIZ stuff, and here's the list of plants that you could use in the first 5 feet if you want plants there, and blah, blah, blah.
So we can expand it to other nurseries, cause like we do their nursery. primary.
Yeah. KNS has been the most interested, they're the most outgoing, community oriented nursery. Bitterroot Nursery is different, though they're very open. I go there and I give them ideas and they say, oh yeah, that's great. I'll take whatever you have. They just do whatever I ask. But they don't really promote. They just leave it on their counter and that's
Right,
that.
Yeah,
They haven't, I invited them. I said, if you ever want to do a workshop on a Saturday, we'll come in and do one. And they haven't said they'll do that. And then the one out in Stevensville,
oh, yeah, I know that.
forget the name of it, has mostly trees and things.
Earth and what?
No, Earth and Wood's not even there anymore. Yeah, Nature's Enhancement.
Right.
That guy I've talked to at the
Oh,
Home and
yeah,
Ranch
yeah.
Expo and other events, and he looks at our stuff and says, he's not really interested. So,
We'll keep trying.
yeah,
Judy keeps going back, so, so yeah, so great ideas, and keep them coming if you think about them, because we'll take note of that too.
Are you, Home and Ranch guys, gonna have your dinner that you have most years? I forget what you call that.
Well, we don't- the Right Farm Ranch, we have never put together a dinner.
It was the extent.
Oh, it
wasn't
was,
the extent-
it was the Ag Center.
The Ag Center, yeah.
Yeah, we do that.
Okay, maybe we could have a booth like, we did Fire in the Root booth there a couple of years ago when Anna was here. Maybe we could do that again and then have our HIZ stuff there too.
Russ, do you want to speak on the Youth Expo really quick? Let everybody know.
Yeah, so we had a youth expo this last Saturday. Fire group came and that's some benefits and stuff there. Believe Judy, did we get 81 groups going through our?
I only had 35 from 9 to noon and then Mike took over from noon to 3, so
And I think I punched everybody, but I can't say for sure, I'm gonna find
Yeah,
it.
I think
81 groups, not 81 people. So that's a lot
That's
of
a
people
lot
that
of people.
engaged with what we were doing, but we were mostly talking to kids about Smokey the Bear and you know, how do you put a campfire out? And we had no time to talk to adults about home assessments or anything, because it was a kids event.
I didn't really get to talk about home assessment, but there towards the end, I was getting more of the information out, some of our, tripod brochures, on the landscaping brochures went
Oh,
out,
good, good.
and, a lot of buckets,
Yeah, that I heard.
just about ran out of that.
Good. We have more. That's good.
That's one thing when we get to talk, you guys can, you carry a bucket with you.
Yeah, they were really happy to get buckets.
Great. Well, Russ, thank you. And Judy and Mike, thank you for supporting that.
And Matt Young was there with his family and his kids had to answer some Smokey questions and he was sweating bullets, waiting to see if they were gonna answer correctly. But they did good.
And upcoming, we have the Ravalli County Collaborative Be Prepared event, which will be in Darby on Saturday, June 8th from 3 to 5. So they've changed the time to just 3 to 5. It's gonna be mostly presentations, it sounds like.
Yeah, the draft, agenda that came out, looks like presentations, we have the collaborative meeting is next Monday, and I'm gonna talk, see if we can't get maybe Borough to do the CWPP.
Yeah. Yeah, it would just be better initially, they had the DNRC doing the CWPP talk, but it's a county plan. Should it be the DNRC be on the?
So I'm gonna bring that
The
up.
face of that, yeah, but Fire in the Root will be there. Ella will be providing a kind of a talk on HIZ and we're kind of thinking maybe since it's gonna potentially be a lot of PowerPoints. Maybe just having, I have a huge HIZ foam poster. And we've got the model house and like maybe not doing a PowerPoint, but having her do more like what I do with the landscaping. And so it's a little more engaging, just referring to the visual, but give them a break from electronics. That's kind of what we're maybe. So that's the thought here. Since Ella does not have a lot of depth in the council experience, any council members that would like to go to support her, I'm not gonna be in town and so I won't be there. But anybody that wants to go with her and maybe help out because they have lots.
I
of
will also
depth
be
and
out of
experience.
town.
Yeah, and Judy's
Uh,
gonna be gone, so
Where is it going to be? At the-
Darby Clubhouse.
Darby
the
Clubhouse.
clubhouse.
And I do have that open. We weren't sure whether we were
Oh,
gonna do the
for the
8th or the
yeah.
15th, so I
Yeah.
kept both open.
I am going to do my best to be there, but I also have a client coming in out of state. for
Okay.
a month in June, So I can't guarantee it.
All right, well, maybe if it fits, just because there's gonna be questions that she might get about the council, that she can't answer because she hasn't been here, that whole time, and so, yeah. if-
We
if
don't
you
wanna
can,
feed
that
her
would
to
be
the
awesome.
wolves and have her
Right. We
run
don't wanna
away.
Run her off now, I just got her. So,
Then that might be a good time to introduce the new community too, so.
yeah. Yeah. Sink or swim, you got this. She would swim just fine. She holds her own, so. She'd do fine.
It's the deep end of the pool though.
Yeah,
Yeah, right, I was gonna say.
yeah.
There might be questions.
Yeah, yeah, it's Darby. Living with Fire in the Bitterroot, our brand bag field tour will be June 15th. And, we've secured the Bitterroot River Inn. And, we got it for the whole day, even though really it's just gonna be a half a day there for presentations and then field trips in the afternoon. And Ken has been working really diligently on planning that out. Ella's gonna help out. We've got some really cool little notebooks, which we'll be handing out, so that'll be kind of neat. And anything else for the good of the council on
Well, we'll have a lot more detail. Oh, we have another meeting,
it? Mhm.
but we'll a lot more detail, but we've got, the presenters on the, hazardous fuel management, basically Josh Smith, Bitterroot RC&D, Bear Jocks for DNRC, Matt, or whoever he drags in his place for the Bitterroot National Forest, and Stacy for NRCS. And so in general, we're gonna have a couple of speakers, potentially 2 speakers from the University of Montana College of Natural Resources, John Goodburn and Ron Wakamoto. So we'll have some outside neutral experts to kind of introduce the topic of hazardous fuel management. And followed by those speakers that I just mentioned, talking about basically introducing themselves, their organization, how their organization or agency deals with hazardous fuel management and their key partnerships. And then a brief description of their field site, because each will have 4 field sites, well, 3 for sure, and potentially 4.
Which ones are they, Ken?
Pardon me?
Which ones?
Well, there'll be 2 in Sweeney Creek, 1 Forest Service and 1 DNRC that are essentially adjacent. We may have only 1 station where people can access people to talk about the site. And then Judy's house to talk about, well, I should have finished this, last speaker will be Kristen talking about the HIZ and Firewise landscaping. So now back to the sites. So the other one of the sites will be Judy's place with the HIZ, Firewise landscaping, and the adjacent forest with Bitterroot RC&D talking about that. And potentially, no confirmation on it at this point. NRCS and the Land Trust are partnered up, and there's a place across the road from Judy's that's in the Land Trust and has had treatments. And so potentially we'll have another site there. So we're trying to bunch these up a little bit into, so you get a 2-fer in Sweeney and a 2-fer at Judy's. And simplify the logistics a little
It's
bit.
Rimbo.
So after
Right
these
across there.
presentations, so basically we'll start at 9:30 and end at noon. Have a bag with literature and a map and a way to download onto your digital device and the Venza map so you can find things yourself and so and go out, do those things well, and then they get a map, a bag, a download if they want it, and a sack lunch, and they're on their own to get to these field sites. And then the field sites will be hosted by the NRC and the Forest Service in Sweeney. Judy and Kristen and Josh at Judy's and potentially Stacy across the road from Judy's. So and that's it. So workshop and a field tour.
Yeah.
And people provide their own transportation for the field tour.
Right, any questions for Ken? on that
We'll
one?
have more details and firm everything up by next meeting.
What kind of turnout do you expect with that cannon, and what kind of people show up with that? Would you anticipate?
You know, that's a tough question. We talked prior to the burning, the reduced smoke workshop. We thought we might get 40. Well, for sure we'll get 20, you know, but we better plan for 50 and we got over 60. So,
And we did do RSVPs.
and we
And
did RSVP
advertising.
because we have to for the lunches. And
And a lot of people heard about it. They saw it in the newspaper.
right, and we'll probably do similar. Similar advertising strategy. Ella's got a poster drafted, we're finalizing that, we'll have that by next time. And they'll have the same RSVP for the lunch. But we're planning on, is it 50 seats?
Yeah,
50 seats set up classroom style at the Bitter River Inn. And if we get 60, we can squeeze some in the back. If we get 100, we'll have to scrap the tables and get more chairs. But I don't think, you know, it's school's out, it's a Saturday. It's really hard to say,
yeah,
but I think we're kind of shooting for 50.
30, 40.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's kind of my gut
30,
too.
40, probably no more than 50. I mean, we're gonna have 50 chairs.
But I would plan for more in the event that, the board of realtor, the building association, most last Thursday night. First time we ever did something like this, it was candidate forum. And we were hoping maybe get 40, we got over 80.
Wow. Okay,
And
We'll
that was
take it.
advertised in the Star and the Valley.
yeah. And we'll probably just do newspaper too.
Yeah, and hopefully the RSVP will give us a good index of what to expect. But, and I guess we'll see,
Yeah,
you know, how many we get, we'll have the logistics for, we got the logistics plan for 50 right now.
so Russ, and the Bitterroot has supplied funds for a billboard. So Russ designed a awesome billboard for debris burning that will be going up on May 20th. And we'll keep the debris burning message up for that first month, and then we'll change it. We're thinking like in the back, if you want to turn around, you can see what it looks like. You'll be able to.
Too
see
bad
it
his
larger
screen
than my
isn't bigger.
screen.
Is that gonna be the size?
Debris burning safely.
Just north of Woodside.
But we'll also be driving faster, so
Yeah.
that makes up for it.
So, yeah, so thanks.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Will you be wearing a Smokey the Bear suit?
If you stick out your thumb, two people might stop to chat with you
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, they stop looking at me, I'll pretend to jump out.
Yeah,
Of the 60 attendees at the debris burning workshop, how many of those people made a reservation?
almost
Most.
all.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just curious if you got a lot of walk-ins
No.
and that,
It's
We got
surprising.
maybe,
Not too
well,
many.
maybe the same
Maybe-
will happen for this then.
maybe less than
It'd be nice.
10.
You know,
Oh, it was
nice
like,
with
I
that
wanna say
strategy
it
where
was 2 for sure, maybe 4.
also the lunch we get-
So, cause we had,
That's
cause I had,
And no one wants to get there.
I wanna say I had 55 or 56 RSVPs. So, yeah.
Okay,
Which
so
is,
that's
that's really
really
good.
good. I was
Yeah.
thinking if you had 40 and then
Yeah.
20 were walking in, but
Just
that's very
Just
good.
a few.
No, it was good. Smokey's 80th Reading Challenge, it's a push that the DNRC is doing, and Ella's got some great ideas for reaching out to libraries down here. Do you want to speak on it or just?
Yeah, I'm hoping to plan a series of library events in the mornings over the summer. Libraries in Darby, Hamilton, Steve I think just those three, and do some children's events. We do crafts and science projects and readings and donating books to the libraries and hoping to engage some young families. And if it's successful, making it a little bit more of a series for an hour, hour and a half on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning sometime, while kids are out of school and parents are looking for things to do. But yeah,
Yeah, that'd be cool. And just as an FYI, I purchased some cool Lego log building, like log cabins, so that we can create our own easily transportable model houses with HIZ, because I also got like little Lego plants and stuff like that. So the goal is to make a cool model house in HIZ that we can actually transport and that kids and adults can pick up and move the plants around and stuff like that, because we have a big dollhouse right now that we borrow from the Lolo that is, it's okay, but it's really hard to transport. And so we're gonna try our hand at this, but this will be perfect for those reading events too,
Mhm.
potentially, but. Okay, and our next outreach team meeting is next Thursday, May 16th, 9 o'clock at the Bitterroot SO in the Lake Como room. So as always, anybody is always welcome, but outreach team, will for sure be there. So yeah, and then let me know on the 17th for those of you that might want to meet and do the CWDG grant information.
Anytime for me.
Okay,
So,
cool. All right, excellent. Thank you.
Okay,
Currently, Kristen, Lake, or the Alta and the Ruby conference rooms are open that day, all day.
Oh, on the 17th?
Yes. So let me know and I'll visit.
Okay, would you reserve from 1 to 4? And then
for both days,
for the 17th, we already have it
Yeah.
scheduled.
both rooms, I mean, which one's bigger?
Yeah, the Magruder, or I
Only
can,
the same.
Oh,
Isn't Alta the bigger Alta's the
probably Alta, just in case. Thank you, Russ.
okay, we're gonna move on unless somebody has more questions about our outreach stuff. Bylaws team has gone nowhere yet because I went online and tried to figure out a framework for 501c3s in the state of Montana, and it kept giving me links to go somewhere, and it looked like it went to some other place, and I couldn't tell if it was even Montana. And so Kendall, I'm glad you're here because I need to ask you some questions. Why are you looking around? I need to ask you some questions about that website and how you got to the right place. When you set up your 501c3,
I used the SCORE, which is, retired individual mainly from the banking, and they set me up with everything in the state.
SCORE?
SCORE, so it's a national organization that helps, people with their financing and nonprofit.
Okay,
The senior home.
Yeah, so it's usually like retired men and women that were, bank manager. I mean, so they're very knowledgeable and it's free and they know all the stuff in your region, so there'll be a
Okay.
chapter.
well, it looked like there was a number of private groups that wanted to help, and it was supposedly all free, and which one do I pick?
No, you wanna go meet somebody in person, not us. It's the same like if you're trying to get your farm, stuff for taxes. I mean, so don't just click on things. And if you're having trouble, I can look around and try to get that to you.
Okay, because what I thought I would do is come up with the questions, print them out, and then get our team together and talk about doing some bylaws and all of
Yeah,
that.
cause it's just a very straightforward, like you have to have, this to meet this criteria. I mean, so there's no wiggle room for the bare minimum. You can do more, but what they're gonna look at to qualify you for that tax exemption, you have to hit those criteria. And if you don't, then they will not meet that status. So we should be able to find that really easy.
And you recommended at the last meeting, or maybe it was the one before that, that we try to keep the bylaws really according to that and as simple as we can.
Yeah, simplistic, I mean, because we're talking about designation, just so it's for the tax break, right? And so you just want to do the, in my opinion, the bare minimum for the government,
Right,
don't try to like.
Pigeonhole it, yeah.
In-house, you can do whatever you want,
right.
but how you do it, like, for them, just, yeah, like, just follow the rules, keep it simple and then move on.
Yeah, because that you don't want to change too. And so if we make it too narrow and we decide to do things differently in the future, it
Right.
makes it really tough.
Bylaws
So,
and then your calls.
Exactly.
Yes, I mean, and he's very strict.
Yeah.
because, like I said, we made mistakes, like, trying
Yeah.
to make it very complicated in Colorado, and it came back to honest, because then it was. Well, how hard was it for us to get a vote on? our minutes and stuff
Exactly,
here? So,
right?
So once
Yeah.
you like. Start making it where everybody has to vote on everything and showing up, it just starts getting really hard, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so once I get some,
Lodge is 501c3 and our bylaws are 4B.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm on two, probably what, 3 seats, and simple, works best for us.
Yeah.
Simple is good.
so as soon as I get something printed out that the team can look at and kind of divvy up and talk about what bylaws we want to propose to the council, you'll be hearing from me, but I'm behind.
That's a real problem. The urgency felt in this group for bylaws is dramatic, Judy.
I know. Problem is, we kind of need it, like we're over there. I added one too, that and so assessment. Just to remind everybody, we actually do have an assessment team, but, but we've had a lot of assessments on the books now because of all of our, the requests, but, we've had multiple assessment, signups at our, events. And so we've got 14 on the books or that need to be scheduled, like Ella's reached out to people and we're just waiting to hear back. So that's awesome. Like, that's a lot of work we're running. And actually, I'm busy in my other counties too. There's a lot of interest in this. And as a heads up, we are finalizing this standard training that we're doing, and we will likely be changing the form that we're using, making it much better, because I have not been a fan of the form that we have right now. And like, is there an interest in another home assessment training like we did a year ago? For those who, I know Al, you were there, and Mike, you attended that one, didn't you? And we had a number of members that did. It would be very similar. The form would probably be different just because it's, that would be a difference, but is there an interest from anybody who hasn't taken it for me to put that on? I have,
Even a refresher.
even a refresher would be an, okay,
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
And
'Cause
isn't
we went
the,
from Florence, we went to the,
yeah,
the one in Missoula.
yeah, Jack Collins.
Yeah, and that was really good
Mhm.
and thorough, but it really didn't address the form at all.
Right.
It didn't,
How we do things.
didn't get the
differently.
mechanics down at all.
Okay. All right,
so is the bigger question not only the training, but who's willing to do assessments with other people?
yes, but that's more like right now, still, the only people that can enter the data into SAM are gonna be the agency individuals or the fire departments, right? And so that's a limitation right there. But if, like, I would love to train people to come out, because sometimes it is just me, or sometimes it will be just Ella, especially without the county forester right now, because Andrew used to tag team with Eurista all the time. And so like having somebody go with and be that other set of eyes, because you always see, like Ken goes out with me a lot, and invariably he'll mention something that I just missed or didn't see, or
it's-
something from his local.
It's safer
viewpoint, so,
too,
Yes,
if
it
there's
is.
pairs rather
is.
than one.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, yeah,
after the last training session, all of us that were there, at least I was under the impression that we would be called after completing that
Yeah.
to go and assist on an evaluation with the people who have to do it.
Yeah.
But I've not been called.
You've been sent a couple invites, so it comes out as a calendar invite. And so you just accept or decline the calendar invite. So I do not have time to call everybody, sorry. And yeah, so, and it's only when they're in your area.
Yeah.
So, and you're like Corvallis area, right? We don't have the money. We've had a lot in Florence. We've had a number in Victor and a number in Hamilton. And so that's, but if you're willing to go anywhere in the county, we can loop you in on that too. But yeah, I think I want to say I'll look back, but I think we had 1 or 2 in Corvallis last year. And I think you were included on those invites, but you may not have.
Are you getting-
Your way.
And you can press them, you can punch me in, the Victor and Hamilton area.
Well, and your name wasn't on the list because I want to say for Hamilton, maybe it was on the list. I can't, because Eurista ran that. So Eurista did that and I've just taken it over and I've kind of looked at who is in the, I can't remember. I don't remember your name being on the list. So I want to say you just gotta let us know that for sure you are willing, that you want to be on that. So,
Victor to, you know,
yeah.
halfway between Victor and Levi and halfway between Hamilton and Darby, I can work that area.
Okay.
Al, are you getting other emails from Fire in the Root?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah,
It might have gone to junk mail and I didn't go check it,
it could have.
because I don't check my junk mail very often.
Yeah, it definitely could have, how it's set up, but Ella will be coordinating the assessments. And so, when she gets a better feel for that, like she's training right now, she's got it down though. And so when she takes over coordinating full time, may do things differently. It's just how she feels might be most efficient. And then if we do this training, that of course is gonna add to the amount of people. And sometimes you're gonna have too much too. Like, we don't want 5 people showing up to do an assessment. That's not needed. And so, yeah, it's also kind of, yeah.
But
we
now
gotta
that
figure out
we're
how to do it.
down on no county forester, that
Yeah.
takes 1 out for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do
So,
we know any?
I haven't heard
They
anything.
re-advertise.
Oh,
I think that they did re-interviews. In the last week or 2, I haven't heard any report or
yeah,
results of that. but
okay,
I know they had them on the calendar.
okay. Well, yeah,
Probably hear more on the collaborative meeting too, next Monday.
yeah, okay.
When do you think you do the training?
Probably not until June, late June, because we have all these events and I know I'm pretty booked, so it would be late June.
well, we need to move on. So if you're interested in that, be sure and talk to Kristen.
Well, I'll
Kristen,
send the invite to everybody.
Yeah.
So I'll pursue it now.
okay. Can you talk quickly about Qualtrics?
Yeah, did anybody use it?
Not yet.
Did it work? Was it easy?
Seemed to, for some reason, I guess it was back oriented, so it had January, February, March, and I kind of scratched my head and found, and I think the only problem, and it wasn't a problem, it took me a bit to figure out, you had to do each month distinctly. So
Oh,
you do
okay.
January,
Month by month.
and then you start over, and then you do February, I mean, you don't start over, but you kind of go back
Uh-huh.
month by month. As far as I could tell, it worked. I was not entirely clear about whether I saw the end product or not, so maybe you could look and see, but yeah, I did
Okay,
dutifully do my, attempted to, I think I did it right. but-
okay. Yeah, so Kimberly has that, and so she'll be the one who'll be able to see that and then give us that information.
And
And
it might be
so
worth just checking with
Yeah.
her and seeing if she actually
I will.
got it.
Got
I
it.
saw the email come through, don't remember opening it up.
Yeah, it's,
I
so
haven't
it's
followed
embedded
through
in the
yet.
newsletter. So, and that's where it'll be, is in the newsletter with all the other information, the Qualtrics link will be there. So yeah, so do it and
We'll
Let's-
talk about it next
yeah.
month, see how it went. Okay, we are moving right along. Albert and Hayden from Right to Farm and Ranch are gonna give us a little presentation on what Right to Farm and Ranch does and how our council might help you in what you're doing that has to do with reducing fire risk, if you've thought about that.
Well, the history of the Right to Farm and Ranch Board was created basically out of a necessity years ago, where farmers were getting harassed about baling hay at 11 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock in the morning. Spreading manure in places. And so the Board of Commissioners came up with this idea that the Right to Farm and Ranch was just that. There are certain times where farming and ranching is a dirty, messy business. But we have the right to do what we want to eat, basically with the premises.
Yeah,
So that's how it was initiated. And out of that, we've become sort of a sounding board for the community and for creating ideals to be presented back to the Board of Commissioners in helping to secure and procure our farming industry in this county and the state, basically. So that's our mission statement. But how we feel that farming and ranching has an integral part in fire prevention is when you drive around the valley, most farms and ranches are pretty green. You know, we put a lot of cost in keeping it green. It isn't just to make it grow, but to keep it alive. So that takes water, it takes electricity and manpower. And so when you see a piece of property that has been left unattended, or there's not enough water because 20 years ago, somebody sold off the water rights and we can't keep it green, or it can't be kept green, there's the fire hazard. You know, and we've had minor conversations and just I report back occasionally, that Hayden does, to the Ranch Farm and Ranch Board to make them aware of what we're doing here. You know, everybody's in agreement, everybody thinks it's a great idea. We only had one complaint from a member of the board. She is very upset with the fact that it's called fire in the root. She said, damn it, it's not the root, it's the bitter root. And I told her that it isn't gonna change, I'm not gonna bring it up, except as a joke. I didn't mention anything.
There's a little history here.
apparently everybody knows this unnamed person but me.
I know. You're gonna have to ask them after.
Anyway, that's kind of a running joke, but, well, not with Joanna, it isn't, it's just, no. She's serious as a heart attack. But it's a joke, because I always laugh when she brings that up. And I said, it's in our bylaws, Joanne, we can't change
Why?
it.
It will be.
It will be.
Did it work?
It was yeah, she hasn't mentioned it much.
Great, she had.
Yeah, that's true. So the fire in the root has a warm spot in our committee. And we feel that it's a very important process that's going on in the valley. Because even though most farmers and ranchers keep their property green, fires can still affect them tremendously. Yeah. Exactly.
Spokane.
Well, fence posts, right? And it can creep on your farm. And I've never been a big fan of burning ditches. So I'd rather spray them and plow them. Cause I've had them get out of hand.
Mhm.
I don't wanna do that anymore. I'm too damn old to run. So, the process by which a fire in the root is contacted, or I mean, it is expressed through the Ranch Farm and Ranch, is that we felt that, well, basically the board, when, you know, when Hayden and I were first put on, was because it was that important that they wanted feedback to the Ranch Farm and Ranch board. And so, you know, it's just a two-headed approach to get information, and information is really power commission. So, Hayden's got to keep on doing this.
Boy, so I just learned that we were even doing this stuff 2 hours ago.
Oh,
I don't have a whole lot to really say about them, but I see here we have time for questions. If y'all have any questions.
I mean, you just talked about, burning ditches, so like, so I have 10 acres, and people have been like, oh, you should burn this. And I'm like, I don't want to get away, literally, that was what I said, because it's been fallow for the last 6 years, you can imagine.
It's a timber box.
It's a lot, but I cannot. We were talking, actually, me and Hayden were talking about how I could rig up some way to mulch mow it down without having to worry about all the rocks on it, right? Nobody wants to let me borrow one, and my tractor, I can afford to buy $9,000 brush on right now, so. But everybody's just like, burn it, and I,
Oh, yeah.
but that's like a lack of education, I think, on a lot of good old boy mentality, you shouldn't just always burn, just keep killing.
Yeah.
Goats, that's not a bad idea, too.
Yeah, start with goats.
Yeah.
And then do there's no direct.
The goat behind my house got eaten by a mountain lion recently, so.
Get a herd.
Oh,
And
Get a llama in there with them.
Local farmer, I know who will rent out the pigs with a fence.
Oh, it's
Well, yeah, you
big.
can buy the wood, you can get
Yeah,
the
and
temporary
the pigs
fence.
actually.
Yeah.
You know, dig everything up as well, so.
Yeah.
It isn't a bad way to go if you don't have other. You know, plans for it, I mean, I water and then mow every year and just let it lay green manures. But that is an investment on which I get no return except in heaven perhaps. But, you know, but that, I mean, what you're pointing to, I think, is a real problem with, I mean, I have neighbors who do not mow and do not. You know, and you can pray that, you know, the ember doesn't land in their field, without a somewhat treated field,
Yeah, an unnamed neighbor was burning their ditches like about a month ago and Victor Fire came and was there pretty much all night because it got out of hand and it was a big mess.
And fire chiefs,
Yeah,
if the
yeah.
fire may be busy somewhere else, I mean, you know, they're not free to help, so.
Might be able to get in touch with actually, one of my friends is setting up a backyard composting operation. And they were able to get it set up with electric fencing to keep things off and see that. So that might be an option.
Well, and I think I could probably handle mine, even though I haven't done it, so maybe I can't, but, I just still think about, it's like, how do we educate everyone here, I mean.
Well, yeah,
so-
is that a need?
Sounds like a
So we have.
Yeah.
on
Yes,
the street, we
that's
had
that's what I'm hearing.
Ditch.
Cause they were burning,
Yeah,
and so like that would be, and then the guy over here. He quit putting water on it and started mowing it low, cause he didn't wanna have fire, and guess what he has, a bunch of cheap grass. Which I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, there's another fire issue.
Right.
And so, I think it comes back to like. I don't know, everybody's supposed to farm a little different, or especially as people are moving in.
Well, and one thing that people need to consider, and I've educated a lot of the people around me. And that is, when you burn ditches, in the last 25 years, plastic culverts have become much more popular
Oh,
than steel culverts.
yeah, they
And
melt.
burn like a tire.
Yep.
And so if somebody's gonna burn ditches, you have to have an abatement 5 feet from the end of either one of those, either end of the culverts. Cause they'll burn underground, cause the air moves through. And, they don't go out that way, even with water, cause that PVC gets hot and it stays hot.
But to be the devil's advocate. My way, we have a big organic garden and people, when they spray around our ditches. That's not, we have a real issue with the filtrating over into our area. And so having chemicals, it's got a downside too.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Oh, yeah,
I've heard a lot of
plastic,
different-
plastic, PVC has chemicals that.
Right.
settle. You know,
Yeah,
chunks of it settle.
yeah, no, we irrigate pipeline and it's metal,
Oh.
it's not plastic.
So,
I mean, when people burn ditches, that's a real hazard when these plastic culverts,
Oh, I agree.
whether it's a 12-inch culvert or a 30-inch culvert. You know, they're really more efficient than a metal culvert because they last longer if they burn.
so
What we need is a workshop, maybe, and we do so much
Yeah.
about
That's what
forestry
just bring us up there.
in terms of.
Or a
community
publication.
impacts and
Okay.
fuel reduction, but we've really never
Awesome.
done something about
Right,
private grass.
What I was on today, I was on a site and it was all conifer encroachment, but it was ranch land. and
Yeah.
It's disappearing, I mean, so a lot of it's gonna get hopefully cut down, but it was, as I went farther into it, it was some pretty bad areas, like the wrong cigarette butt getting thrown out in the bin. And this was historically, ranch land, and as I'm in like deep forest running into barbed wire. and stuff,
Right.
and so we're also losing ranch and farmland from other sides too.
Well, and what's happened in our valley, all you have to do is drive around at night and look at the lights that are
Right.
everywhere.
yeah,
But that ground used to be grazing ground. And grazing is one of the best ways to
right,
mitigate
Yeah.
fire. I
right,
mean, it just is. A lot of people, oh, I don't want cows. Well, they have flies. Well, you want flies or you want fire? You know, I'd rather deal with the flies. But since we've lost so much, state grazing ground or even private grazing ground in the rural urban interface, that it's just become, cared for.
Is there a
Rural
pro?
Bird. I mean,
Yeah.
There's probably a market for.
There was a company up in Missoula that rents them, they'll bring them down,
Yeah.
they'll they'll put the
Yeah.
temporary fencing up.
Yeah,
They'll move them around, you show them the area you want mitigated, and then they come back and get them.
It's so effective in California.
Yeah,
well, since our mission is to educate people on how to reduce risk, it sounds like a workshop oriented towards ranchers and farmers that have to deal with ditches. They just need to know what some of their options are, and we haven't ever approached that topic, so.
well,
What
Hayden,
would-
is there any like publication, or do you do something like
best
that?
practices.
That like a best practices that we can support or push to, like, is there something already in place? We don't need to recreate the wheel if it's there,
Not that we put out.
okay?
And we could co-op with extension agent and possibly create.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Do you think a workshop or a publication would work best with, right, that's
But it's
why
the
I'm like,
new property
what,
owners Where the farm is
yeah,
split into 10 acres.
Come back in on a devil's advocate side too, because like Al said, this county is growing, there's lots of ground to be broke up. But because I'm on the planning board also. And a lot of these subdivisions now, even though they might be 2 or 3 acres, their yards are limited by water about the size of this room. And everything else,
yeah,
so they're,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be green,
right.
and they're severing water rights off.
So it's just larger properties, like really an acre
But
or
to the
more
2 or
in
3
ag
acres
land.
Where
But
the
even
Yeah.
an acre,
lawn
it's
is
got a-
happening.
Oh, yeah.
This, and it's not, you don't have water for the rest of it.
Right, it's dry,
You're still gonna, that's fire hazard.
Well, a lot
Right.
of these lots that are an acre is 43,560 square feet. They only got enough water for 10,000
Right.
square feet, maybe.
right,
And
And,
then you throw that house on top of it, so that reduces even that.
yeah,
yeah,
So I think instead of gearing it towards farmers and ranchers, we should instead just have like a on of water rights and water availability. Especially given that I heard a rumor that they're gonna start pumping water out of the Alpine lakes because we're running out of groundwater and water in the Bitterroot River for all of our ranches. And especially with all these new developers going in Florence and Hamilton, where we don't have enough water for more people.
That's rumor on the Alpine Lake, the west side, that lake, get it up, it goes all along the irrigation districts.
Yeah, getting into water rights is beyond anything we could begin to address, but we can address best practices for burning ditches, not burning ditches. What do you do instead of burning ditches?
Well, if we want to do that, it should be done early in the spring before we burn ditches.
Yeah,
And at least give a little information on best practices.
Right,
And you might get farmers and ranchers to come to a meeting when there's still snow on the ground.
right.
Yeah, but it's,
Offer 'em lunch.
they're usually starting before fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but those things, some of them, we had one, the one that got out of control, it was really thick with brush and nothing smoldered for days and days and
Yeah.
days. It was just awful, the smoke.
But it's most of our assessments that we're doing is all timberland, right? So we could just. be a
No.
no,
So.
no, not
most
all,
are-
yeah.
I mean, some
Oh,
of them are right in the subdivision.
Yeah.
We're already addressing it, it's just knowing that rhetoric for, when you
Yeah.
have somebody with.
But our assessments are really home assessments and surrounding forest land, we address. Sort of, but.
With
but
the
it isn't
foresters.
The primary objective of the home assessment.
It looks like there's a treatment
Uh,
of grass field, I mean, of
Yeah,
unforested
It is,
land.
but it's more, it's more pinpoint versus. Like, I do think we don't speak about ag enough.
Right.
We don't. And so I do.
You guys
feel
are
like
our only link to
something that is
ag.
More ag focused would be better, because we also, like, there's the, loss of fences, the risk of fence loss too, right? That was brought up in the very beginning of the council. Do you remember that?
And replace a 5-strand barbed wire fence.
It's thousands
It's
and
between $12
thousands.
and $14 a foot. a
Yeah.
wire foot.
Yeah, and so like we haven't really done anything focusing on ag. Or larger property owners, and that could include an acre or more, right? So I do feel like that would be beneficial if you guys agree, like if you also see that as a need.
It would
I
be a-
think what we'd have to figure out is the best the best way to get the message to those who need to hear it. And it might be a workshop, it might not be, but honestly, you're gonna be able to probably help us with that. Like, you would know, how is it gonna be received best? What, would it be through you? Through the Right to Farm and Ranch
Yeah,
group that,
exactly. I mean, that would be a co-op between us and.
Mhm,
Exactly.
and fire and Road.
yeah,
And Kristen, with part of that too, with that training that, I asked you to help develop on the,
yeah,
home, the assessment for the realtors.
direct, yeah,
Cause we're still working on getting a class on that, but our class is pretty much done for now.
Uh-huh.
During our busy season
okay,
this fall, and I'm still insisting that when we hold that, it's not just realtors, but continue education, open it to the public.
yeah, oh, yeah, Yeah.
We've had a couple of them, we've had good, pretty decent response, from public, showing up.
yeah, good,
So
We
are,
have to have something in place. If we do this, cloud burning workshop again next year, it'd be nice to have this one. Before that,
yeah,
Oh, yeah, like I said, there needs to be a little
Snow-
snow left.
snow,
on the ground.
yeah.
right,
yeah,
Before we talk about burning,
yeah,
because from the time the snow leaves till people start burning, it's a real short window.
it is, and then it's too green,
Yes.
so it's a really short window.
And most people don't know why farmers burn ditches. They burn ditches to get the debris and the redness out of them, so the water flows.
right.
But I think
Because
we
when you
just
get ahead of water, you want to use it as fast as you can.
All on ground times, that doesn't necessarily stop the fire either. Over in Lewis Park County, we were out on a 100-acre fire that was burning underneath that much snow.
Yeah.
But there's also something that's not just ditches that I think is important here, which is bare land, basically, that is not being tended. And that is sort of independent of ditches and even of burning, really. How do you deal
yes,
with
yeah,
the field that you've got, which is 5 or
Non-maintained.
6 acres? and,
yeah, non-maintained,
what are the options to?
An out-of-state owner on 20 acres.
Yeah.
Fair land.
Yeah, and what happens is that if you talk about hazardous fuel management, everybody thinks trees.
yeah,
But the reality is, that it's grass and pine needles and
Haystack.
and haystacks
haystacks, yeah.
and ditches that are full of weeds and it's everything.
Yeah.
So-
And we focus on the trees because it's easy. And because we have programs that are set up and
And it's
we're,
more visual.
and we're accustomed to it. But we really should keep that as broad as possible,
But those grass fires.
except for our June 15th.
That's all
stuff,
we
we
do.
deal with
Yeah,
fire.
And speaking of that, how many people think that we've been blessed without much wind in the valley? We've had the windiest spring that I can remember in a long, long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if that's gonna change. I mean, the climate's changing everywhere, and so is this gonna be, are we moving eastern Montana to western Montana?
All right, yeah.
I've been working over here since I moved back 10 years ago, then it wasn't like that.
Oh, yeah.
So the data, because Bruce Maxwell talked about it last fall, is actually that
Wetter
the
spring.
the wind average is slightly, very slightly going down. But the extreme events within that average are going up, so.
Which is true with almost all weather events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so, and those are the ones that you worry about,
Yeah, it's not the average that you manage for.
Exceptions.
and the exceptions are more frequent, so that's. In the mix.
So we're running out of time and these are really good things to think about. Should we ask if anybody wants to meet with you guys separately, have a team? Think about what we could do to support farmers and ranchers in this way and with education, and are most of them pretty connected with the ag center or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we've missed the target for this spring,
Oh,
but it could take a long time to put together best practices for next spring.
Well, I think what we could do is have a joint meeting, at
Yeah.
one of our meetings, and have 2 or 3 reps from, other than us, from a fire and group,
Yeah,
and set up a preliminary meeting, maybe in, October, November,
Some in the fall, maybe.
and then do one early in the spring. We usually don't do one in January, but February's early enough.
Mhm.
Even March is early enough, in the early part of March.
yeah. I would
So-
say February, because open burning starts March
Yeah,
first,
so we'll do a
right?
We'll do a preliminary meeting this fall.
Yeah,
And then set something up that we can all, brainstorm over through the winter and then present it in February, March.
That's awesome idea.
Yep.
Cause
I agree.
you guys have been coming for a long time and I can see you're like sponges taking information in, but I feel like there was something we should be doing for farmers and ranchers and we've never had the opportunity to talk about it.
Well, it's still the largest single industry in the valley
Yeah.
Right.
and the state.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long that's gonna be, but, for Valley County, I do research and look up superfluous stuff lots of times. But, we've all heard about the Gaza Strip and problems there. Do you know that the Gaza Strip is almost the identical size of the Valley County? 1.49 million acres?
Yeah.
wow,
But think about that.
Yeah.
We've got about 65,000 people living in this town. They've got 2.3 million people. in there. That's just something to think about. But of our 1.5 million acres in the valley, only 88,000 of it is productive farming.
Mhm.
That's a small percentage.
yeah,
It's a much smaller percentage than it was 80 years ago.
Oh, yeah, it's half of what it was.
40 years ago.
Well, it's this 80-year period is where
But that was all the stuff. I could bring
reduced
it
by
back.
half
Get to
and the
know.
population is many times.
And right
Yeah.
on time. Well,
And it's a shame because what land sells, so even cheap land in this valley, no farmer or rancher can afford to run cows on it or grow wheat on it. And it's, I tried to get barley contracts for the last 20 years, there's no way. And, so,
well, I wish we had more time to hear a lot more from you. Do you feel like you had enough that you could continue this next month and put Josh off, or,
Do Josh, and we'll do maybe in 2 months.
okay,
There might be a good intersection with you guys attending one of these outreach team meetings and see how that fits in, where the logistics match up and how the
Yeah,
process works. And then when we have our meeting in November, and we'll have an idea of the mechanics.
mhm.
So the Ag Research Center that you already asked that we could be out there, that's September 12th. That might be a good time to tell people about the November meeting. Because there's gonna be, because every year there's so many, what, 300.
yeah, it's a big deal.
Every year. It's a great event,
Yeah,
and so it might be a good opportunity to tell people about the November. Maybe free, they're all there. Yes.
But it's also, I think it is a workshop or is a folder, more effective, and how
Right.
do we reach the ex-ag land that, that's really a big part of it.
Right,
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to do with the information about realtors.
Yeah,
because that's it almost, the farmers mostly, the still ag people are probably irrigating or at least, doing traditional management. It's the people who
What's been broken off.
are really the riskier.
and it may not be an either or. It may not be an either or workshop or brochure, because there may be a different target audience for each one. So, that's something to figure out between now and November
yeah.
and figure out the logistics associated with it.
And not to belabor the point, because we're done, but I'll stop in about 30 seconds. I've rented lots of ground around the valley, because you can't afford to own it all. But, I have lots of out-of-state landowners who didn't want me to bush hog, didn't want me to spray. They wanted it natural. And I said, I have certified hay in this field right here. This can't be natural, it has to be managed. Put cows on it. Put goats on it. Bush hog it or spray it, but you need to control your problem, because it's my problem also.
Right,
And it's just really hard to get out of state people to even give it in.
and we should also include the weed district in these
Yeah,
conversations.
yeah, very much so.
And
Yeah.
probably the irrigation district.
Yes.
The ditch district.
Okay, we unfortunately have to move on. So next month we'll hear from Josh about the Bitterroot RC&D. And he's apparently going to want to talk about the ramifications of Pyramid lumber closing. Sure, there'll be some interest in asking questions about that. And then we were hoping to have time to talk about ideas for discussion for next month. So maybe you just send us your ideas by email.
Yeah, if you have any agenda, suggestions for next month or any idea, yeah,
You guys put down for soccer clause and the competition.
yeah. You bet.
I didn't hear exactly what you said.
My wildfire mitigation competition, I was hoping to launch it June 1st, but with my IRS processing getting pushed back so late. I'll probably have to push it back to September. Or just wait until next year, which I don't wanna do, but I also don't wanna try
Okay,
and jump before I have others.
so after Josh, you'll be the next month then.
Or just like
Or
5
if we
minutes
have
out of the next
time.
agenda.
Yeah, if we
Yeah.
have time, we
Yeah.
can.
Sure.
Pardon?
Not July, August, and September. If we have fires, this is not available here, you guys. I'll tell you that right now.
If we end up active fire July, August, September.
July, August, September, you guys won't be in here. We'll find another meeting.
Oh,
If fire season starts, we can't have it. That's all there's to it. We just-
yeah. Yeah, suggestions on where to go. We've never had that issue.
Right.
See what Mother Nature deals with. us.
Yeah, but no, we actually need a backup in case, so.
What about Victor School? No, they'll charge.
Daily Leach has a room that would easily accommodate, and it's free.
Yeah.
And they have a.
Oh, it's still free?
projector. Yeah,
Daily Leach.
Yeah, it's a
funeral home.
funeral home, but it's a
They
great
have a
meeting
very
place.
good-
Yeah.
It's at least this big.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that would be a,
Elks Club has a meeting space.
Pardon?
Elks Club in Hamilton.
Okay, we'll look into meeting places for those months.
Yeah, why?
July, August, and September. Okay,
We could also contact the Hamilton House, they had a meeting room in the back. And if we
I
agreed-
think that's a little small.
Well, we would have to bunch up a little tighter than we are here, but we've had 30 people in there before.
If we don't have much more than this, I could probably maybe get
Yeah.
the through better board office.
yeah.
Oh, I know. Oh, no, that might be a problem there too. The new fire hall in Hamilton.
Yeah, they're gonna have the same problem we are.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and the same with Florence. I mean, if we have fires in the valley, the fire stations are gonna be.
Yeah.
I like that you
So
have an
this might be a really
improved
good,
season.
No, rain, right?
item for next month's agenda.
Pardon?
An item for next month's agenda to continue this discussion with people thinking about it between now and then.
Or-
Okay,
Yeah, that could be just something Ella just researches and
yeah.
finds an alternative avenue.
It's great,
Yeah.
we do a lot of big cake, we've done movie nights and all sorts of things.
Hey.
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, I like the Daily Leach idea. Okay, thank you for coming, and for the new people you haven't really introduced yourself to, take advantage of them being here. Amanda and Ella are brand new. So we'll see you next month.
Yeah, next meeting, June 4th. Thank you.
Yeah.